Good morning, FlossTube. This is Alma coming to you from Long Beach, California. Today is Sunday, February 9th of the year 2020, and this is FlossTube number 6. So welcome to you all to Alma's Little Wonders. Welcome back to you returning viewers. Thank you so much, as ever, for your continuing support. I'll never stop saying how much I appreciate you guys, because I really do. I wouldn't be doing these videos if it wasn't for the continuing support that I received from you guys. And if you're a new viewer, then welcome to my channel. I hope you like what you see, you find a reason to stay, subscribe, and follow me on my stitching journey. And so if you are a new viewer, this channel is mostly about cross stitching with a little bit of life thrown in here and there, but that is the only craft I do. So if that sounds like something that's up your alley, then feel free to join. Grab a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, whatever it is you drink, and thank you for spending some time with me. This week I did get a substantial amount of things done, which made me very happy, because it felt like I was making some progress. I'm still adjusting my goals, just getting a better, because I am getting a better sense of how much time I actually have to stitch. Once upon a time I had all the time in the world, but not anymore. So I keep adjusting and I keep adapting my goals. But one of the things that I did that I did end up deciding was to steer away from weekly challenges and focus a little bit more on the month-long and the year-long challenges in my stitching groups. Weekly challenges just by nature have a smaller stitch count goal, and I try to gear more towards larger counts. So I decided that at least for a couple of my stitching groups, I may just decide to focus on the long-term goals. Having said that, I did do the weekly tasks for both enchanted stitching and magical stitches. So let's get to it. Here's my weekly progress this time around. For the School of Magical Stitches and Literature, we are reading the first villains book in Serena Valentino's series. The first book is called Fairest of Them All, and it's a rendition of Snow White's Evil Queen, or the story of Snow White's Evil Queen, background and how she became essentially the Evil Queen. So right now we're still in the beginning of the book, where she's still getting to know the king. She's still getting to know Snow White, and we did read the part about the wedding. So the first task we had to do was using a whip that had beads in it to represent the elaborate gown that the Evil Queen had to wear for her wedding. So I obviously picked up my Riolis kit. This is Lilac Evening, and I don't know if you can, it's kind of hard to see in the picture, but there are beads all around the lace of the hat, and it's just all over her dress, or whatever it is she's wearing. So I haven't done the beading yet, but as long as the piece have beads in it, you got credit for it. You didn't have to actually do the beading for the task, which is good. So I did work on her. The task only called for 100 stitches, but I ended up doubling it. Just because for me, the smaller count goals, I feel like you can't really see the progress that you make, so I tend to go for bigger goals. So for her, I just worked on the top of the hat over here, Another reason why it was easy to double up was because the brown stitches on the top are half stitched. I don't know if you can tell, but they're all half stitches. So I ended up doing like 100 regular stitches and then like 200 half stitches. And I will continue to work on her this week. I'm using her for a couple of challenges, weekly challenges. So again, I'm trying to cut down on the weekly challenges, maybe for 2 groups, 2 out of 3. But for her, I am going to continue using her. But more on that later. The second task that we had to work on for Magical Stitches was a food that we would not eat. A kind of like a nod towards the elaborate meals that Snow White and the Queen had to eat. So for that one, none of my whips have food, let alone food that I would not eat. So I had to do the penalty stitches for that one. So I picked up June. This is June. It's a Heaven and Earth designs based on Anna Didman's artwork. And I also used her for task enchanted stitches, which for that one we're doing Frozen this month. So this was for Love at First Sight, because Anna and Hans supposedly fall in love at first sight. So she actually ended up getting overall, she ended up getting a little bit over 500 stitches done. Let me see if I can get the shadow to not do that weird thing. So for her, I worked on the green. Prior to picking this up this week, all that was done was the yellow. So this week was just 500 stitches in this. It's DMC 10. It's actually one of the newer DMC colors, which I could not find at Joann's, which meant I had to go to Michael's, which bugged me because I have a Joann's gift card, not a Michael's gift card. So that counted against my budget for Stitch from Stash, but it's okay because it was like only like $3 overall, because I had to there's a lot of that green in this piece, so I had to get 10 skeins of the green. For her, the goal is to this year is to finish all of that green. There's a little over 19,000 stitches of that green throughout the entire piece, which means that I would have to stitch 450 weekly stitches in order to meet that goal. So again, I stitched 500 stitches on her this week, so I was able to meet that goal this week. Again, I'm going to continue doing that, we shall see, but at least for this week I did, and it made me very happy. Next, for Magical Stitches, we had to do a task in which we either picked Snow White's favorite color, which is blue, or the Queen's favorite color, which is red. So I went with Snow White and brought out Moon Charmer, select the size version, and the artwork is by Amy Stewart. Heaven and Earth Designs did the chart for it. Because I'm doing the sky. I'm still stuck on the sky, which is nothing but blue. So let me see how this goes. So this is what I did this week. She ended up getting 475 stitches done. Again, the task only called for like 100 stitches. Let me see. Yeah, 100 stitches. I also used this for enchanted stitches as well. We had to pick a piece that had to do with sky. Again, we're still in the beginning of the movie, so it's that quote where little young Anna says, "The sky is awake, so I'm awake." So again, just nothing but sky here, so it worked out. I used to be using this for the Heaven and Earth 100 Days of Hate challenge. Fortunately, I broke my streak. I did not stitch on this for 3 days straight, just because you know, I had other things to do and other whips to work on, so that officially counted me out of the challenge. I had originally tried to do the 2-page finishes, because for that option of the challenge, you had to finish the current page that you were working on and then finish an entirely new page in addition to it. So again, just based on my other whips and how much I want to get done in them, I knew that that wasn't going to be possible. So I opted for the second option, which is to stitch at least 30 stitches daily. And again, I broke the streak, so yeah, so I'm officially out. she's still gonna get work done. She's still one of my favorite pieces. It's just not going to be for the hate challenge. It's gonna be for other challenges. But yeah, essentially this week I just I think since the last time you saw her, I ended up just filling in the gap here for the rest of the sky. So I don't have that much left to go on this blue, finally. Well, okay, I should say on this page. Because there's still plenty of that blue to go in other pages, but at least for the page that I'm currently working on, I'm almost done with the 798, which is great because I've been stuck on that color for a long time. It's either that one or black. I was doing black for the longest time as well, so I'll be happy to continue to work on another color. That pretty much was it for magical stitches. Another task that I worked on for enchanted stitches was we needed to pick a task that we were either afraid to work on or that we made a mistake. I think the context was Elsa being afraid of her powers, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. But I pulled out Tinkerbell and Peter Pan Flight in Neverland. This is an MCG Textiles kit. These aren't available anymore, so whatever's out there is whatever's left. But yeah, I pulled this out for that task. But again, I tend to go for bigger stitch count goals. So even though the task only called for 250 stitches, I ended up doubling it. I ended up doing 500 stitches. So this is where I am at with this piece. I'm super excited because I ended up fully finishing another row, like the 10 square or 1 square, I suppose. I only had like 1 color left to do, so it wasn't much, but I did finish the next row, which means that this is one of my focus pieces for Whip Go. And oh, sorry guys. For Whip Go, the goal is to try and finish, I think this is the new page. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is already the next page. So for Whip Go, the goal is to finish this top area right here. The next, so the goal was to finish the next 30 rows. So again, since I only had 1 color left for that top row, I decided to not count it. So really, I mean, I suppose these are technically the next 30 rows, but again, this is a really small area as well. So this is it. This is what I have to do. And I think I can do it, again, because I'm doing it on 500 stitch increments. And I'm using this as well for the weekly tasks in School of Magical Stitches. So I think I'll be able to do it. For Peter Pan, I only have to do 450 weekly stitches in order to meet the goal of finishing by the end of the year. And again, I did 500 this week, so I'm good. I'm in the green. I hit that goal and then some. So, which is, again, I always try to go beyond the goal to allow for future times when, you know, like maybe something happens and I'm not able to meet it. You know, again, you know, I'm hoping that it balances out and I'm still able to meet as many goals as possible. So let me see. Oh, so one more task that I still need to do for Magical Stitches to round up the this week's weekly homework is to work on a piece that gives us nightmares. So I'm going to be stitching on the Disney Villains piece by Zana Cross Stitch on Etsy. And the reason this gives me nightmares is because for whatever reason, even though I triple and quadruple checked my maths, I'm still worried that I didn't count or didn't measure the fabric properly. Because the way that this was, the way that the PDF came was each panel was split up. So you essentially got 4 different PDFs. So I had to do some math to figure out how, but I'm stitching it as it is on the sample, on the model. When you buy the patterns, that's how I liked it. That's what drew me to it. So I had to do some math to figure out what the dimensions were going to be once you added all 4 panels together. Quick shout out to Kim Spartan Stitcher on Instagram, because on the previous video I had mentioned that the PDF came with the pattern twice. Like you have a copy of the pattern with colored symbols, and then you had a copy of the pattern with black and white. This is Pattern Keeper compatible, but Pattern Keeper did not realize that it was the same pattern twice. So so Kim was kind enough to kind of give me a hint on how to fix it so that you only had the pattern on there once, which is great because now I know that my stitch counts and my percentages are going to be accurate, as opposed to having to remember that, you know, Pattern Keeper may say that I'm only like 0.5% done. I'm really 1% done. So thank you, Kim. But the Villains piece ended up getting 660 stitches done this week, regardless of not having been used for a task. And that's because I actually brought this to work with me. Because right now I'm working on the white. All the white. So these are actually like her cheekbone highlights. This is forehead highlight right here. And this is actually negative space. So this is her chin right here, the area that's not stitched. And this is the collar that she wears. So all I did was outline the area that I needed to stitch, and then I just took this to work with me, worked on it during my breaks, and I didn't have to look at the pattern anymore because I knew what area I needed to stitch on. For that one, the goal is to stitch 650 stitches a week. The goal is to finish 2 panels. So the Evil Queen is the first one, and then you have Ursula. So I want to finish, at least be able to finish those 2 panels before the end of the year. But I also kind of toyed around with the idea of working on each panel as we went along in the series, because all of the 4 ladies are the main characters in one of the books at one point or another. So I also thought maybe instead of doing 2 full panels, I can do like half of each, which, you know, essentially was the same as doing 2 full panels. So we'll see. Either way, it comes out to I think like, I don't know, like 11,000 stitches, maybe less, I don't remember, but I enjoy working on it. It's a really interesting stitch. It's easy too, again, because it's such, the panel is so thin that before you know, it's like, oh yeah, you already finished. You know, 200 stitches. But as far as challenges go, weekly challenges, that's essentially it. That's all I had for my stitch groups. Oh yeah, so I ended up, I wasn't, yeah, I lied. I just checked my notes, my little notes that I have here. I did end up using the villain's piece for an extra credit assignment in magical stitches. For the task was to be something you will find in a royal castle. So the evil queen lives in a royal castle, so I had to pick it up. I could not use it. It was too perfect. So 300 of the 660 stitches went towards that extra credit assignment. And then another extra credit assignment that I did was something that had a bird in it, because the queen's nickname for Snow White is Little Bird. So I brought out my Petite Dimensions kit, gold collection, stacked teacups, because it has a little bird. And you got bonus points for stitching on the animal itself, but I wasn't there yet because I just started this piece this week. So this is how much I got done. The task only called for 300 stitches, but in magical stitches, and I think in enchanted stitches as well, half stitches count for half. So I ended up doing total, I ended up working on this for 765 stitches. So that counted the 600 half stitches needed for the task total, and then some. I think I wanted to finish at the length of floss, so I just kept going, and that got me to 765. And I also, because the center was somewhere here, so these are, I think, like 50 full cross stitches, so that counted towards that as well. But it's a quick stitch. This is one of my planned finishes for this year, and for this one I only need to do 250 stitches a week to meet that goal. But for the purposes of that goal, I'm essentially counting the symbols, right? Because I'm just basing it off of what's charted. So each half stitch is still a symbol. So for that one, I think that's also why I'm gonna be able to blow past this one, is because if I do use it for magical stitches, then, or again, enchanted stitches, then I'm doing it twice over. So, so yeah, so again, I shouldn't have a problem meeting that goal, but we'll see. Because again, I stitch on it this week. I don't have any plans to work on it this coming week. It starts on Monday, but we'll see. Because again, I did 253 times over. So yeah, so I can essentially not stitch on it for 3 weeks and still be in the clear. Once I finished that, I think I did end up doing more extra credit pieces. I do have 2 more to go for magical stitches. I did do the one where one of the extra credit tasks is to watch a movie that's based in the UK, they gave us a list of films to choose from, so I watched Brave while stitching. I think I was stitching on Lilac Evening, but I did get those 2 points extra credit for watching the film. Aside from that, I did keep working on the Ultimate Stitching Challenge, which again, those are 500 stitch increments. So I picked up Snow again, Snow Girl, Tilton Crafts chart based on Danielle Cordick's design. I'm also using this for the 20 in 20 challenge for full coverage fanatics, which, as the name implies, means doing 20,000 stitches in the year 2020. So I'm doing pretty good on this one. I have finished 4,000. I did hit the landmark for finishing one of the. I'm also using it for the National Parks Challenge and Full Coverage Fanatics, which you have to stitch. For each park, you have to do 4,000 stitches, and there's 25 parks total. So if you stitch all 25 parks, you will have ended up stitching 100,000 stitches. And you can use as many whips as you want, as long as you use one per park. So for her, I did finish one park, so I hit 4,000 stitches. This is, so I am doing the border on her first. So I've done the top border. Well, I've done the side border, and then I have the bottom border stitched up as well. So now I'm working on finishing this top border right here. I only have one more 500 stitch segment to go before I can finish it, which means I have to get gridding. I have to start gridding so I can do the side border. So I should get that done soon. It'll get done this week. For her, as long as I stitch 350 stitches a week, I'll be able to finish the 20 in 20 goal. And again, I did 500 on her this week, so I was able to meet that goal this week. And then some. Yay! Another piece that I worked on for the Ultimate Stitching Challenge was Wonder Woman Warrior Princess. For that, you have to build Fantasia Gardens golf course. So each hole in the golf course was worth 200 stitches. So so I was able to pick her up this week for one of those. Again, this is Wonder Woman Warrior Princess, Tilton Crafts chart based off of Danielle Cordick's beautiful design. And I did bring her to work with me because right now I'm working on the black. There's a lot of black over here on the top that needs to be filled in. So I've done, I have a few blocks, 10 by 10 blocks, in which the only thing left to do is the black. So again, it's easy because I don't have to look at the pattern. But I do plan on working on her more. Again, I may continue to bring her to work with me, but I also I'm considering just starting a piece, maybe like a silhouette. I have some fabric, dyed fabric that has like a lot of teals and blues and pinks, and I'm toying with the idea of doing like a little mermaid silhouette. So all I would need is black, essentially, and just make the outline, and then not even have to look at the pattern anymore, just keep stitching. So I think that might end up happening sometime soon, because I don't mind working on these pieces on, like the 200 stitch increments, because that's what I was using villains for before. But I also kind of like the idea of just keeping a project in one of my drawers or my cubicle or something to have for my breaks and my lunch break. So that was it for my goals, or not my goals, my progress this week. Again, some goals were met, and then some for Wonder Woman. Her goal is to hit 10,000 stitches, and I only need to do 150 stitches a week. So again, I did 200 stitches, which was again in the green. So again, this week was good. I felt like I got a lot of progress done. You know, still juggling long-term tasks with weekly tasks. For the Stitchy Quest Facebook group, which is the Lord of the Rings stitching challenge group, that one, I don't think I'll be able to do the weekly tasks anymore, just because sometimes they do it based off of time as opposed to stitches. So they do, you know, they have you like roll a die or have like a random number generator, and then that's the amount of hours you essentially have to put into a whip for a task, and I don't have that kind of time anymore. So, but for that group, they did come out with a really cool alternative. They came out with a year-long challenge where they have a list of like 60 prompts, 60 tasks, and you, again, just random number generator, whatever number you get is the task you do. And there's like additional, like if you happen to finish all those 60 prompts, there's additional lists that you can do. So I think overall, I think it's like 100 prompts that you can do. And again, you have until the end of the year to do them. And you can pace yourself. This week I did one prompt, which was something with jewelry. So I ended up using Moon Charmer for it because she's wearing a little diadem made out of stars, I think they're supposed to be. But I really appreciated that they came out with it. It was originally just a weekly challenge, and you were supposed to do as many as possible within a week, but then they just decided to make it year-long, which again, I was so happy because I really like the concept of it, and it's kind of fun to just kind of have a random prompt generator and just stitch on whatever it is that you got, but just having it be done within a week, like again, just 60 prompts, which I'm sure, like, you know, they never meant for you to do 60 prompts in a week, but it just felt like a lot of pressure. So yeah, so I'm very happy that they made it year long, because I will definitely continue to do that one. For plans this week, they did come up with the tasks for magical stitches. So again, for that particular group, I do want to at least try to continue the weekly tasks. I don't know about enchanted stitches because they don't allow for penalty options. But for magical stitches, this week, one of the tasks is to work on something that is a luminescent dream in a sea of darkness. So for that one, I'm breaking out Hogwarts again. I'm very excited. I started working on Hogwarts a little bit last night, but I didn't get much done. So I'm very excited to bring it back out again because I missed it. I don't know why. It was just for a little while there, it wasn't calling out to me. So now it is, and I'm very happy because I do love that piece. And that one of my goals is to finish a partial page, which is the entire bottom edge of the piece are all partial pages. Words. So my goal is to finish a partial page before June. And the reason for that is because I am starting a lot of full coverage. Oh, I thought that was good. I really intended for this year to be just focused on what I do have, but that's not me. That's not how I roll. And I had a very thorough conversation with Zakia from Lady Wing Designs about this. We are both starting a change of seasons from Mystic Stitch. We're starting that on March 1st. So we were talking about, you know, what fabric we were gonna get for it. And then I mentioned that I had already started to kit it up. And there's like an entire page where it's essentially just one color, like 99% of it is one color. So I told her, if you're gonna get one color, then get that one, because that's the one you're going to need to start, and that's going to take you far. So I'm starting that in March, and then in June I'm starting there's a sister piece that goes along with Anna Dittman's June called July, which is stunning. I mentioned it previously in my last video. It's beautiful. It's got all these pinks and violets and purples, and it's stunning. So we decided we're gonna start that together towards the end of June on her birthday. But then on my birthday, in the middle of July, I want to start my own birthday piece, which is another Heaven and Earth design, tea, which is Benedict Cumberbatch as Sherlock drinking tea. So again, that's three full coverage pieces that I'm going to be starting in July. And I'm also doing another birthday start, another Haid birthday start. So that's four. I don't know what I'm getting into. But knowing that that's coming up, you know, in the summer, I'm trying to have this first half of the year be all about finishes and trying to hit as many yearly goals as possible. So I do want to get a partial page done on Hogwarts. I want to get, I did write it down. So Hogwarts, I want to get a partial page finish. Moon Charmer, I want to finish a page, which shouldn't be a problem because I'm already like 90% done with a page. That's the sky. I also want to get a page finish on my watercolor floral piece, as well as my Sleeping Beauty piece, and Tuscan Home, which I haven't even touched in like over a year. Oops. But that I do want to get a page finish done on that one. As far as full finishes go, I want to finish Lilac Evening. I want to finish the stacked teacups piece that you saw earlier. The teacup display that I worked on in January. And I also want to finish Peter Pan, of course. As well as my New Year, New Start, which is Bilbo, which I have not brought out since I started it. I think I only have like 150 stitches in. So yeah, am I gonna be able to do all of that? I don't know, but I'm planning on it, and I want to be able to use those ultimate challenge tasks to work towards it, because again, it's 500 stitch increments. So, and again, I usually don't I don't stop working on a piece until I'm done with whatever amount of stitches I want to get done. So if I start stitching on Peter Pan or Snow Girl, then I won't put them down until I hit that 500, which is why I was able to work on them for so long, for as many stitches this week. But yes, so I am bringing back out Hogwarts this week, and I'm also going to work on my Whipco piece, which so there's 2 focus pieces for Whipco every month. One of them this month is Peter Pan, as I mentioned, but I'm also going to be starting the second Whip Go focus, which is my first memorabilia. This is a portrait of Veronica. So I will start her this week. I won't use her for any of the weekly tasks, but I may use her for one of the ultimate challenge tasks, which again will motivate me to get at least 500 stitches in, which is what the goal is for Whip Go anyways. It's to get 500 stitches, and I'm doing her on 18 count Silver Moon Ada that I got from, I think it was 123 Stitch, which I suppose on screen it will be very hard to see. I mean, it's hard to see in person, so it's probably going to be impossible, but yeah, no, you're not going to be able to see it. It's a very, very light gray. I originally got this fabric for the Hogwarts, the Letters from Hogwarts style that started this year. I wanted to have like a light gray to offset a lot of the whites, just because of the letters and stuff. But this ended up being too light. It was too light, and you could barely tell that it's gray. So then that kind of put me off starting the piece in general. I decided to just let it go and not do it because I have so many things to do already. So yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use that for memorabilia because again, it's light enough so that it almost looks white, but it's not. But that is it that I have for this week. Again, some hefty plans coming up, but I think I will be able to do it. And if I don't, then you know, I know that there's no one that's going to put me in jail for not reaching my stitching goals. So I'll just, you know, it's all about enjoying the journey anyways, right? So if I end up meeting my goals, great. If not, oh well, there's always next year. But yeah, that is it from me this week. Thank you again for spending some time with me. I hope that you like what you see, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.